China proposed initiative on the global civilization hailed, or at least that's what they're saying. They're saying that they're hailing China as the new saviors of the world, right? This is absolutely nuts. It's very obvious to many of us what is going on here, and we have seen it for a very long time and who is trying to take charge right now. It says that leaders of political parties and organizations from around the world have hailed the China-proposed Global Civilization Initiative, or GCI, saying that it has great relevance together with the Global Development Initiative. Now, this word with the G is pretty scary for a lot of us because we've seen it coming for a very long time. It says the global initiative, the Global Development Initiative and Global Security Initiative to build up countries' consensus on addressing mounting global challenges in terms of peace, security, development, and harmonious coexistence. So they give you the problem. The problem right now is the ominous World War III that is on the horizon, and then they give you a possible solution. So even if we don't go to WW3 and somehow these guys come in and kick butt and save everybody, basically take names and save butts, that's a very scary thing. How they run their country is absolutely terrifying. And if we are seriously taking this seriously, it needs to be talked about. It says their comments came as Xi Jinping, General Secretary of the Communist Party, and by the way, communist is in the actual name, of China Central Committee, unveiled the Global Civilization Initiative on Wednesday at the CPC. Dialogue with world political parties, high-level meeting. The meeting's theme was Path Towards Modernization and Responsibility. So these are technically, everybody talks about how bad they treat their people, how they treat, human rights and everything else. But then again, you'll see the richest people in the world having Xi personally come to their house. Like Mr. Gates had Xi and his wife 2 separate times fly to Seattle and have dinners in his opulent homes, right? And then the former woman who ran for president, the one with the count that keeps getting bigger, that one actually had a dinner that was hosted and paid for by oligarchs in that country. This is like nuts. And then, of course, their peace plan that they put out a while ago, they're basically taking notes from the U.S. We're going to talk about this and much, much more on today's show. We're going to go over current events, everything that is happening, and let you know what their official narrative is and what we think about it. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on, guys? My name is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. We're going to talk about a lot, but I do want to get right back into this before we go into kind of the general rules and how to find us and how to find the sources for all of this. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who is also the president of the African National Congress, the ruling party of South Africa, said that he fully agrees with Xi's initiative. Funny that they weighed in on this and they're pointing this out because South Africa just joined Russia in military drills and they're essentially now an ally to them. the world conflict as we see it has been shaping up. Somebody says, oh, don't you know that Vlad and Xi are going to meet? They have been meeting probably every day via Zoom. They have had plenty of meetings. Xi has been meeting with all sorts of countries. And if you see where trade has gone since 1981, when they let capitalism in their doors, you would see how the world has turned a certain color. It is pretty crazy how many countries are doing more trade with them than they are with us. Now, again, any country, if you look at it in theory, there shouldn't be one country at the very top, and we shouldn't look at ourselves as, absolute, the Rome of whatever, but that's what we've been. One thing that is really terrifying is, as bad as we are, Xi is worse. Their country tracks and trace everybody. You cannot dissent. There is no dissent. If there is, it's probably made up and put on the front page on purpose. So very freaky times that we are in. I just thought it was funny that they added this in, and then all of the countries that are hailing it are definitely not, most of them are not our allies. So we'll talk about that later. If you are new here, remember you can go over to marfooglenews.com and find every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. Just look for today's thumbnail inside their country. And again, once you see that, the setup, and then once you click that, you will find every single source for every article, tweet, video, picture, document we're going to show you. That way, if somebody goes, oh, I don't believe you, where's your source? Then you can give them the source. Again, that's something that's important if you're going to share us out, to make sure that you know that you're getting correct information, or at least you know where that information is, if it is correct or not. And then, of course, the overflow is all of the web content, all of the stuff that we could not fit into the show, or the stuff that would start fights nonstop, or would get you in a bar fight if you even mentioned. So all of that is down there, along with some of the stuff that, kind of we've beat a dead horse with as far as the SBB stuff. There's some more stuff down there. A lot of folks, since they're not too into banking, again, there's more going on and it goes deeper into it. So lots of really great stuff down there. Let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So I just want to, some house cleaning here. Just to remind you guys, there's a lot of new people here. We don't have a full staff. We are not a news channel. We don't have, I'm not, Tucker. I'm not MSNBC or CNN. We don't have a team of replacements. If I'm sick or something, if something happens, I don't have somebody to take my place. Now, I also don't have somebody doing all of this stuff for me. I am in Washington. Dex is in Georgia. So we both have to do this show and put it together from different states. And again, that's, it's us. And then it is our volunteer mods that help with our community and try to get all of your information into us and try to get us information and stuff. But that's, as far as we always set up a 15-minute in the beginning so you guys can congregate. That's part of, at the least we could do since the Discord got taken down. So everybody gets to know each other, is able to talk. Sometimes, though, we are a little bit late and people can look down upon us, but this is what you get when you get independent. We don't have any help. We don't have any backup. We have you guys. We are garnering the same views as a daytime CNN show with, 2 guys and 2 computers and a team of volunteer mods. So again, take it with what you will. Just understand that's how it is. I have a day job. I am working construction in the day, and then I do this at night, 5 nights a week. So if I do miss a day, you guys got to put up with that at this point. So I apologize, but I'm doing the best I can. So if you can, please let other people know. If it's running 20 minutes late, it's probably because a broken mic stand or something is happening, and there is no replacement. We don't have a closet full of extra parts and extra things, which they do. If you look at any big show, they've got, if a mic breaks, they've got a whole closet and a team member with some sort of foam case with all of the replacement parts. We don't. So thank you guys for your support, and just know that we are doing our best and we try to get on as soon as possible when we can. And hopefully, once my schedule changes around again, I will be able to come on at 7 on the dot. But again, it's always changing. So thank you guys. I also have 4 kids, so it's quite a I have a plate full. And then Fed to stay the course with 25 BPS. First of all, Dex, I would love to get your weigh in. It's very ominous, this whole China thing, as far as their proposed initiative for a global civilization. I mean, how freaky could that sound?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's, in my opinion, it's probably smoke and mirrors. I mean, because like there was this one quote from Xi, I think the Serbian president repeated it, but the quote is, "Let culture exchanges transcend estrangement, mutual learning transcend clashes, and inclusiveness transcend any sense of superiority." And I'm just thinking, how does Xi say that? Uh, and then you turn around and look at what goes on in his country, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense there, dude.
I think they're being sold like, hey, in this new world, the U.S. won't be at the top. You won't have to sit under the U.S. We'll give you an equal spot at the table, and they're probably filling them, up with smoke. Again, Mongolia is on board, guys. I mean, he added that Mongolia fully supports the initiatives and mutual trust, dialogue, and cooperation are common aspirations. It's most of our adversaries that are totally up for this and say, yeah, we totally want this. They're probably being promised something in return. They're probably being promised a seat at the table. They get to sit with all the big boys, and they'll be the new alphas, right? As far as how most of these places run their countries, it's, yeah, I don't want to have that hanging over me. And we already have our own problems. We already know over the last 30 years, things have just gotten worse as far as being tracked and traced, being monitored. Every last thing about what is going on is heading a way that most people are figuring that out by now. But if you're not figuring it out, then, stop hitting snooze. And then Fed to stay the course with 25 BPS rate hike on March 22nd. Dex, do you want to cover this? Again, you're better with the Fed stuff than I am.
This is looking like they're going to raise it. They're saying it, but they also say it's according to a strong majority of the economists polled by Reuters. So we'll have to see what the real number is. But ultimately, it kind of looks like they're going to go this way. We had said last show or the show before that if they don't raise it, that's a bigger warning sign than if they do raise it, because they said they were going to raise it slowly over time to stave off inflation. And if they veer from that plan they had, it means they're doing it because there's a problem. It's looking like they're going to raise it a quarter basis point. So we'll see.
Which we're watching for either way. If they pause it, then we know banks are in trouble. If they don't, then we're most likely going to have further problems with money. So we'll see. And then we have cleanup of radioactive water leak ongoing at the Minnesota nuclear plant. This is what we covered. It was breaking news last show, and a Fugel family member actually ended up reminding us of this. I think when we first saw this, we didn't know, it wasn't confirmed. It was like right before the show last night, and it was not confirmed. And then chat kind of lit up and said, hey, check this out. Apparently it did happen, and it says officials are monitoring the cleanup of a leak of 400,000 gallons of radioactive water from a local nuclear power plant in Minnesota. Xcel Energy, the utility company that runs the plant, said that the spillage was fully contained on site and has not been detected beyond the facility. State officials said that there was no immediate public health risk. The leak was first discovered in late November, but state officials did not notify the public until Thursday. The water contains tritium, a common byproduct of nuclear plant operations. It says a natural occurring radioactive isotope of hydrogen. Tritium emits a weak form of beta radiation that does not travel very far in the air and cannot penetrate human skin. They're basically... that was the downplaying segment of the article, right? It's okay. It's only if you touch it, get near it, or within 6 feet of it. But as long as you're socially distancing from it, you'll be fine. Tritium spills occur at nuclear plants on occasion, so it happens all the time, guys. Don't worry about it. But are typically contained on site and rarely affect public health and safety. So don't worry. They'll probably package it up and bury it. It's fine. Xcel first discovered the leak on the 21st of November, which is crazy that we're hearing about this now. It is now, March? From a pipe between two buildings in its Monticello plant. The plant is about 35 miles from the state's most populous city, Minneapolis, upstream along the Mississippi River. So now you have, what was the other river? Was it the Ohio River that was possibly at risk from the the Palestine event. Wasn't that the case?
Yes, that's correct.
So now you have two huge rivers that are possibly in trouble, right? If you have information on this, if you're close to this, and if this is something that is right up your alley, or you know people that know people, let us know. Send us information at adam@marfooglenews.com or dex@marfooglenews.com, or just DM me on Twitter at Marfoogle. But Dex has some stuff to add. Dex, go ahead.
Well, I agree with you. The point being that they did not notify anybody. This was going on since November. I think, on one hand, they are looking at it like, well, we don't have information to tell you how bad it is, et cetera. So we're waiting. But I kind of call, hogwash on that. And on the flip side, I think as a public, we ought to expect that the keepers of anything hazardous should have an obligation to let the public know when accidents happen, and let them know promptly, even if they're afraid that it might harm people. I think we have a right to know. That's just my opinion. I'm assuming they're feeling like, oh, if we told people we had a leak in November, everybody's going to freak out in November about it, and we could wait and tell them later. They probably wouldn't have told us at all, but somebody probably leaked the story out, and that's how it came out. Somebody probably threatened to say something, and then they had to bring it to the forefront. But it's my opinion, there ought to be a law that says if you're dealing with hazardous anything, and something happens, the public should be made aware of, even at its simplest or earliest stage.
You think of the Chernobyl, that they were so bad then. That happens in every country in the world. They essentially, cover up is the word. They've covered up a million different events like this. Because they'll even do it so much as like wait a couple months until, that state has a chance to get put into office, right? You always see it in the shows where they say, well, let's hold off on it. And like, Don't Look Up, where they said, well, let's not talk about the asteroid yet. Because, I'm going back for office in a couple weeks and we've got to get this next thing. That's a real thing. And we've talked to people that have even done local offices. It's like they will try to withhold information until they can get a couple things done. In the meantime, they're damaging or hurting people, or hurting people's long-term. They're literally affecting lives. People are going to perish early or have cancer, when they could have told them 3 or 4 or 5 months before, and they could have made their own decision and prevented something that, may change your life forever. I don't know about this event, but there's tons of it. Look at the Aaron Brockovich kind of stuff. There's many Chernobyls all over the world at all times. One of my family members worked in the EPA for a long time, and they said that there's a ton of these kind of events that they, from the top down, are told not to talk about. So that's like, it's pretty nasty, and it happens here. It happens everywhere. It's not like Russia was super unique with Chernobyl. Chernobyl, they literally, told it's okay, lick the snow. It's just nice. It's artificial snow. Put your tongue out. And then the EPA tells states not to block hazardous waste shipments from the Ohio derailment, because some states are going, we don't want to take it, right? And apparently it says the head of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency said on Friday that he was notifying states that they cannot block shipments of hazardous waste from the February 3rd Ohio train derailment to licensed disposal sites. It says a Norfolk Southern operated train in East Palestine, Ohio, derailed carrying hazardous materials. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt said earlier this week he had blocked a shipment of hazardous waste from the Ohio site to a facility in his state. It said that the EPA Administrator Michael Reagan said any attempts to impede interstate shipments of hazardous waste threatens the integrity of the system. He said that the Oklahoma site has to permit to receive the waste. Reagan said that he would hold Norfolk Southern fully accountable and demanded it seek to reinforce its contracts to dispose of contaminated materials from the site. It says, quote, EPA will take all actions to ensure the safe hazardous waste handling continues across this country. He told the reporters, we expect Norfolk Southern to execute and implements its contracts and hold contractees accountable for the receipt of this waste. So basically saying that they're going to do something if they try to block this stuff. Most places, nobody really wants the waste, right? And then that Dex, I'm sure Georgia doesn't want it, and I'm sure no other state really wants this stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what do you do with it? So, like, if you have facilities around America that sole job is to deal with the disposal of hazardous material, and they're equipped to deal with it safely and rid it or clean it or do whatever they do to it to make it safe, you have to get it to them. So unless you only have one facility in the state that it happened in, and then it has to stay within that state. But it doesn't sound like that's the issue. It sounds like I guess the question I'd ask the Oklahoma governor is, where do you want it to go? And I'm sure he's going to be like, well, anywhere but here. I don't really care because it's not my state. Send it somewhere else.
It sounds
just
familiar.
Looking at his own state, right?
It sounds familiar, right?
Yeah.
Sounds almost like another issue that we have down at our south border. It's kind of like everybody wants it fixed, but they, just don't fix it here, okay? Fix it somewhere else. I don't want it knocking on my door, right? And then Carol...
Maybe they'll send it to Martha's Vineyard next.
Yeah. That would be pretty awesome, actually. Carol Baskin's Tiger... Wait. And did a Ninja Genie. Carol Baskin's Tiger ate husband. Let's go. Thank you for the Ninja Genie over on DLive. And then another Carol Baskin's Tiger 8 husband says, sorry, it's been a while. I've been catching replays. Thank you, and appreciate the support over there on DLive. Most awesome screen name ever. And then, oh, man, Tiger King, man. And then Rolls-Royce plan to put nuclear reactor on the moon. Like, this is like Star Trek. It says, better known for using nuclear power to sustain submarines deep below the ocean surface, Rolls-Royce has set its sights a lot higher. The British company has received government funding to develop a micro-reactor to power a base on the moon. Although the use of the clean, almost unlimited nuclear fusion power in space has long captured the imagination in sci-fi novels and TV shows, the lunar reactor would start using existing fission power. Dex, when I saw this, I thought about what we covered the other day. Do you remember how they were working on this technology to beam power through space? Think about this. If they had nuclear power on the moon, if it exists, I know there's a debate here in our audience, but so they put a nuclear reactor or many on the moon and then beam the power down to Earth. I wonder if that's a possibility in the future.
Well, it certainly could be, but why, when you've got a giant nuclear reactor sitting in the middle called the sun that, with a micro fraction of all the land on Earth, you could capture that beam of energy and turn it into power.
Yeah, Elon Musk says, what was it, a space the size of New York or something? If they put panels side to side, they could power the whole Earth or something?
For the whole Earth, yeah.
Yeah. But well, I guess the question is, why don't they switch over to that, right? Well, they've got a system set up currently that, they can make a ton of money on, and they can change it, and it can change on a whim. Let's see here. Thank you, everybody, for popping in. Before we get back to the chat, thank you guys. Thank your mods. Make sure to thank them by going over to marfooglenews.com/friends. You can find all of our wonderful mods. Some of them are, of course, great creators themselves. So make sure to go subscribe. It's very easy on our website. You can just click this button and it will subscribe for you. Whatever account you're logged in, it will just go boom and it will subscribe. So if you click that red button, you can go subscribe to all the mods. Really, really easy. And then, of course, we have tons of really great friends down there. All channels that we personally vouch for and think are awesome. Now, again, make sure to go down there and check out all of those. Jacob Israel, really great guy as well. Make sure to check him out. CJ Blaze, Jammer1, Bones has great content, but he's on different platforms, so make sure to go check him out as well. And then, of course, Ilea, you'll, of course, recognize. She's always here, and she's really, really great. All right, and then Dex, did you... Our light just went off here. Don't know if that was on purpose.
No, not me.
Oh. Oh, well, it is off, so I don't know if you're going to be able to communicate through that. So, oh, there we go. All right, and then before we move on, just want to remind you, right now, there is a special deal if you pre-ordered the Flex Tactical. This is the new Flex 1500, essentially the new version of it, and it has been designed by the Air Force Laboratory, the Air Force Research Laboratory, along with Energy. So this is, again, actually designed with help from the U.S. military. This thing is the badass of the badass generators as far as the solar generator goes. This can actually, it has an integrated battery heater, so you can use it in extremely cold temperatures, depending on where you are in the country. That would be very important. Also, it basically tactical in every way. The thing has everything you can think of on it. So make sure to go check that out. That is pre-order. You'll have to wait, but they work like Legos. So you can literally stack and expand it just like the normal Flex 1500. And again, with the normal, you can actually expand it up to 96 batteries. It doesn't actually say how many you can expand it, but I would assume it would be very similar, where you can stack up to 96 because it's using very similar technology as far as the regular Flex. But these are silent. They get their power from the sun, so you have unlimited power as long as you get some solar panels, and you don't have to pay $5 a gallon of gas. Nobody's going to hear this from 3 blocks away, so these are all great. The Kodiak X2 is now available if you want to get one of those. It's all built in. The battery is built in. These can be dual linked, so you can double the capacity and double the output. These you will actually get really quick if you just want one, if you just wanted to get the basic kind of starter set. This will last you for decades. So again, go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/energy. It is definitely good to have during a blackout, rolling blackouts, power outages, storms, earthquakes, whatever it may be. Having power when there is none is really, really awesome. Dex, go ahead.
And hey, they're running I just got notified they're running a sale for 2 weeks on a lot of the different stuff. Some of the packages, 30% off on some of the panels, up to 50% off on some of the accessories, 735 off of the tactical kit, and another sale that's on the Kodiak. This is going to last for about 2 weeks, but the great thing is our discount or promo code stacks, which doesn't usually happen with everybody. So this is kind of a cool thing they're doing for the Foogle fam.
Yeah, and especially with items like this, is a small percentages ends up being a lot. So with this, if it stacks, that's pretty huge. So definitely try to get over there. It helps us, and you get a better deal on it than if you just went in off the street. And right now, if it stacks, can't get much better than that. Thank you guys. Thank you for supporting Independent. And then protests erupt in France after Macron forces increase in retirement age. This is odd. Isn't that what China just said that they were going to do? And now Macron. Dex, do you want to go over this?
I think everybody's going to have to do this because of the population issues that are going on. But, look, we've been talking about these protests. They've been doing it quite a bit, and it's all on this topic about moving that age. Well, they were expecting their government to actually vote on it. They were expecting, Parliament or whatever to vote on it. And the prime minister just snuck in and said, you know what? Or the president, I should say, snuck in and said, you know what? I got another way to do this. And he just did it. So he used a different set of powers that he has, and he has changed that age without allowing the people to vote on it or their representatives to vote on it. And if you think they were mad going into it, they're even madder now that it's been done. So we'll expect to see more out of France and some pretty angry people that are in the upper age bracket there.
Tyranny. Yeah, so even more protests are busting out. It's almost like it's almost like everything is going along plan. And then former Israeli premier urges world leaders to shun Netanyahu. It says that Israel's former prime minister on Thursday urged world leaders to shun Israel's current prime minister Benjamin Netanyahu as he presses ahead with a plan to overhaul the country's justice system. The United States and Germany, two of Israel's closest allies, called on Netanyahu to slow down. The rare calls for restraint and international intervention came as thousands of Israelis once again took to the street to protest Netanyahu's plan. Do you see something in common here? Everywhere, all across the planet, people are pushing back and saying, hey, this is messed up. That's usually meaning that most people aren't happy with what is happening with this whole plan, but they don't care. Ahmad Olmert, who served as prime minister from 2006 to 2009, told the Associated Press that global leaders should refuse to meet with Netanyahu. He appealed specifically to British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who is expected to host Netanyahu in the coming weeks. Says, quote, I urged the leaders of the friendly countries to the state of Israel to refrain from meeting with the prime minister. He added that he was aware of his call as a former prime minister is quite extraordinary, but that the situation calls for it. I think that the present government of Israel is simply anti-Israeli. So that's huge statements coming from somebody who formerly ran the country. But not only this, you wouldn't call it, this government of Israel is calling. They said that they are going to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, whether they have the U.S.'s back or not. Does this gentleman, has he heard something that we don't know? Does he, he doesn't even want them to meet. If they meet, backdoor deals are going to be done. Dex is like, with this we've covered that they said they're going to go after the I country no matter what, with or without our help. So if we don't step in, they're going to do it anyways. They're going to use bunker busters. They're going to try to take out their nuclear facilities and their military bases and all this. This is, obviously a fight that's never going to end, but they say they are going to escalate it a lot.
There's a lot of parallels here. You've got the parallel on the division. So you got like the whole country there sort of divided and at each other. And you've got a former prime minister or prime minister calling out the current one to the rest of the states in the world, saying, hey, disavow this guy. That's pretty extreme. But the parallel, I say that there's a couple parallels. We've got the divide here. You've got divides in lots of other countries. We have an administration. If you rewind 2 administrations, when we were getting ready to go to the turn in 2016, which T-Man obviously won that or took, was the elected one. But before that, everyone was saying we were going to go to conflict with Vlad. And now here we are doing it. So, you've got that country saying they're going to go to conflict with theirs, but they've got a divided nation. We've got, our version of that is what's happening in Europe right now, and we've got a divided nation. It just seems like there's a lot of parallels, and it's not just them. It's happening everywhere. It's probably in France just as much as anywhere else. So, this is the sign of the times we're living in. And if you think it's, bad in your backyard, it's probably the same in lots of other people's around the globe.
And Poland, the people there are absolutely up in arms. People everywhere, people in Romania, people. We've covered so many protests and so many kind of pushbacks over the last 3 weeks. It's insane. I mean, over the last 2 years, there's been a lot, but just in the last month alone, there have been so many events that show the big picture is heading towards a single direction. I'm confident of it. And then North Korea's intercontinental ballistic missiles could hit central U.S. in just 33 minutes, says Chinese studies. They come out with these things, right? They've had nukes for a while, but it is surprising some because they did not expect they didn't expect these agencies to actually say that. For the longest time, they said that they don't believe that they could actually do this. But then recently, in the last 3 or 4 years, a lot has come out on how Russia has helped them. Russia has given them certain weapons like the Super EMP back as far as 2002 or 2006, one of those years, but definitely before 2010. They actually gave or North Korea attained from Russia. They basically said they either got it from us, we either gave it to them, or they took it from us. We won't tell you which, but they gave them a Super EMP weapon. And some of the really good guys in our government and some of the good people that are there are, trying to get the word out that this is a big deal. Like this, as far as EMP from North Korea, could be used from all of these other countries to knock us down a notch and then to restart everything. So The fact that they're saying these ICBMs could hit the central U.S. in just 33 minutes, according to a new Chinese study, which pointed out the potential gaps in U.S. satellite-aided system for tracking missiles. And by the way, too, China's running this study. I wonder why. A simulation run by the Beijing Institute of Electronic System Engineering found that one of its missiles could hit the U.S. mainland within 1,997 seconds. I love how they put it that way. And it says, if not intercepted by a U.S. missile defense. Now, Dex, didn't we cover something that said that they had so many that they could overwhelm our defenses, even if we had all of our defenses go out?
Yeah, that was the last report, saying they had so many that if they launched them all, our missile defense system could not handle that load. That was what they were speculating. Here's a couple of things I'm thinking about. Why 33? Why not 32 or 34? I know a lot of people love numbers, so there's one for you. The other one is, like, think about it. If it's 33 minutes, so they say it'll be detected in the first 20 seconds. Well, it's detected by somebody that works in the military who's looking at a screen, who then has to go to his command, who then goes to their command. All right. And there's a little bit of a time lapse between that and making it all the way to, say, probably the president, who's going to say, yes, you need to put off an alert or you need to do something. I'm sure they will react instantly and try to shoot it down, but I'm thinking more about, what does it mean to us? Like, when do we get told this happens? And I can just only imagine how much time it might take to wake a sleeping JB in the middle of the night and get a decision made to then notify the public. That 33 minutes probably got dropped down to 20 if you're lucky, maybe even less. So, we might, if they actually did launch something, and by the way, that's, it may sound scary. That's not the worst. The worst would be Vlad and his hypersonics sitting in that ship that they brought by last month, coming in a matter of minutes.
4 minutes.
That's even faster, right? But still, even somebody as this hermit nation, we might literally get a notification and only have 15 minutes to react, or even less. And that's kind of a scary thought. And I'm not trying to scare people, but it's just, think about the fact that this hermit nation could pull that off, let alone what Vlad could do.
Now, I've heard a rumor, and I have not been able to confirm it, because you cannot find anything on DuckDuckGo or Google or anything. And but there's a section of the ghost cities in China that are supposedly look like NK, and I thought that, I know for a fact that they have copies of the weirdest places. Dex? I always forget that place in the U.S. It's a rich elite kind of getaway in Montana or something, or Billings. Is it Billings or Jackson Hole?
I think it was Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole, Montana. Is that right?
I think that's Wyoming. Jackson
Hole, Wyoming. In China, they have all of these areas. One area looks like Paris, and it actually has a small Eiffel Tower. The architecture is done in that style. There's an area that looks like New York. There's an area that looks like Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And when I first heard that, I go, what? What? I didn't know about the whole Jackson Hole, Wyoming. It's the rich elites go there and they've got their fancy houses. It's kind of like Aspen, Colorado. And some say that they even have an Aspen type area with wood cabins and all of this. And the ghost cities have confused me for a long time. When you look at it, they say the official narrative is that they just build houses and it's for their economy and it's the way that they keep themselves afloat. And everybody there, before you get married, you have to buy a second house, or you have to buy a house before you can get married, before you ask or something. I've heard a million different reasons why they do it. But when you look at it, there's millions, literally millions of apartments and homes and houses, townhouses and areas, and they're just empty. They're ghost towns. They have the basic kind of janitorial service that goes through and cleans everything up, and they keep care of it. They take care of it like it's going to be used at some point. And you think, oh, well, maybe it's just the population will expand. These cities are huge and they're empty. It makes me think that in a future event, if everything goes down, everybody can be moved from their country to an area that looks like their country, so they'll feel at home and they'll have a little taste of where they grew up. But they'll also have a ton of money and power at this new table where somebody else is leading and they've promised them a place at the table, right? That's what I think of when I think of the ghost cities and I think of this stuff. But what if, NK, what if they already took out Kim? During that surgery, they say, oh, well, he's done video since then. Do we believe video anymore? Do we believe audio? No, we do not. It's very hard to say. Now that his sister has started speaking, if you look at their culture, and I'm not chauvinist, but that culture is, they absolutely do not respect women in that country. And the fact that his sister was able to talk and take charge and everything else, they would have had to make it a religious thing where she is a god or some sort for them to put in. And I'm sure they have, right? But it seems to me like that could have been taken over by some other agency, and they could be pumping out wag the dog videos left and right, having Kim say all this stuff. It could come from there. Guess what? If they nuke us, they send everything they got, our defense system sends everything it got, and they get past, and say even 2 missiles just get through and hit a tactical area, we wipe North Korea off the map. But what are we wiping off? We're wiping off these people that are basically enslaved by their government. The leader's already gone, and we can't respond. We can't shoot at Russia. We can't shoot at China. We just destroy NK. And we also take that buffer out between South Korea and China. Dex, go ahead.
I was just going to digress that. Have you heard of the Peace Village? So this is on the other side of the DMZ in NK. And it's not the same as what Xi does with the ghost cities, but it is a fake village that they built that literally has windows painted on the buildings. It's got a flag. It makes it look like this beautiful little village in NK, so that the people in SK can actually see it, because you can actually see this across the DMZ. It's got a huge flag, and they blare music over there to and the SK people call it the Ganda Village. Because they feel like it's trying to entice SK people to defect into NK, looking at how nice it is over there when it really isn't.
Yeah, this
but
looks
it's called
super
the
nice.
Peace Village.
This looks super nice, man. I want a place. Look at that. They've got balconies. They're probably like, man, we could get a balcony. They all look the same, too. That's funny. And what do you think they hire North Koreans just to walk their dogs? Look at this. And they've got themselves a very decorative radio tower, right? Oh, look at it. It's a water tower. It's so peaceful. The weirdest paint schemes in North Korea. All of them are, it's like they're in the what was the avocado thing? Was that the 70s or was that the late 60s? Dex, do you remember when everybody used avocado in their kitchens and fridges? What was that? Oh,
yeah, it was probably the 60s or 70s, probably 70s.
Yeah, it's like they're in another time or something. It's just crazy. Jimmy Wright 7167 says, I don't know why they always tell us where the stuff is being built. If we can see, our enemies can see it. It's like you telling people, hey, we're making badass stuff. You could stop us at this location. Shaking my head. Now, that was a super thanks done on the last show. Needs to be addressed. I'm trying to figure out, Jimmy Wright, what you are referencing. I don't know why they always tell where the stuff is being built. Maybe the jets? I don't know. I'll have to think about that because it will come to me later. And then Kelly ZC3CD. That's a hard one. Thank you so much for your super thanks on We Could Lose Everything. I appreciate that. And then Beer Juice, thank you for the Ninja Guinea over on D-Live. I really do appreciate you guys supporting. Thank you, and thank you. Machina Opus, it's nice to see you again. It's been a minute. Thank you so much for your comment and your super chat. Jolene Rice, thank you. Dane Juris says, making acronyms really fast on our gun license expires. Or our gun license expires. That is a good one, but what's M-A-R? Marfoogle. Oh, that's a good one. Dangerous. I don't know if you're commenting on yesterday's show, but that was worth bringing to this one. You are here. Thank you for moving the pop filter so we can see you. That's all right. It wasn't on purpose. It's just broken. We would have been on at 15 minutes after the start time if that didn't happen, but the whole rubber thing just kind of fell out. But that's okay. It is actually nice. I was really didn't know how I was going to do it. I was going to duct tape. If I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is my old mic stand. It is completely duct taped to the point where it's just like hanging. Yeah. So this was the replacement, and it lasted about 3 weeks, and it is now broken. But it actually works better. So you are here. Thank you again. Yeah, actually, I think you did that twice. I hope you didn't. I hope you can take one of those back or something. But thank you so much for the super chats. Lord McCormick, much love from UK. GB family, my eldest, 15 years, is an RAF cadet. Top of his class had night navigation training pulled to sit in a class and watch Future War versus Russia presentations for 16 hours. Dex, did you see Lord McCormick's comment? It says that his eldest, 15 years old, is an RAF Royal Air Force cadet. Top of his class had night navigation training pulled to sit in a class and watch Future War versus Russia presentation for 6 hours, and says he's 15! Exclamation point. Jeez. Any words in regards to John Axe Army being saw an attempt to murder? Whoa. The real Dank, I haven't talked to him in years. Is that why he's been brought up? I did not know about any of that. Last time I saw him, he was on TikTok. Wow. I did not know that. But it's none of my business. Again, that's huge. I did not know that. Joseph Newhouse, thank you for the black cat. What? Joseph, you are literally like the king YouTuber of symbolism, and you do a black cat? Thanks. And then Jaleesa H, thank you. Machina Opus, couldn't think of one, so I asked Chatbot. It came up with WACO, Weapons and Acronyms Creation and Knowledge Office. Not bad. So Machina Opus, yesterday I asked, because the military comes up with all of these wacky acronyms. What was it yesterday's? It was Mutant, and it basically was a missile that had a missile tip that has robotic tip that has like a rubber seal on the outside so it can move, and I don't even want to describe it because it looks like I'm teaching sex ed or something, but they called it Mutant, and it was this long acronym, and we made a joke saying, well, I wonder what the office is, because they come up with these wacky acronyms if they have a whole office dedicated to it. So I asked you guys to come up with the acronym name for the office that makes all of the military acronyms. And WACO, that's pretty good. So Chatbot, I can't put that as the best one because it was Chatbot, but I said the best one I would put like on a title somewhere, and I'll just fit it in the very end and nobody will even know what it means. I think Asinine was probably the best one. And then La Fille Pedrug Sona Duhit. Stephen McMahon, I will have to translate that later. And then Christian Moore, they dump fuel on pass jets over the ocean. Thank you, by the way. I missed you yesterday. And then Chanel Beveliqua, I missed your super chat yesterday. Thank you. What the heck? Fantastic, Freddie. Chanel Beveliqua, that's what I said yesterday. And again, you got it on the nail on the head. Thank you, by the way, and I'm sorry I missed you yesterday. Thank you for your support. All right, and then let's see here. We have the DOJ are investigating TikTok over allegations its employees spied on journalists. Dex, why don't you go over this? This is more of the TikTok story.
Yeah, the TikTok is getting heated up. It seems like every time we turn around, there's something else going on with them. But yeah, they're the DOJ and the FBI are not commenting. Obviously, they don't comment on things that are active. But it's being reported though that they are actively investigating the company who supposedly or allegedly was spying on journalists and using their app to do that. So. ByteDance did make a statement, says we have strongly condemned the actions of the individuals found to have been involved, and they are no longer employed at ByteDance. Our internal investigation is still ongoing, and we will cooperate with any official investigations when brought to us. So that's kind of, in some regards, admittance that there was somebody there doing that. But yeah, this is kind of yet again another stain for the infamous app that all of our youth has their heads basically stuck in every waking hour that they're not doing something productive with their life.
Well, so as far as, a lot of folks don't believe that TikTok could ever be banned because of how big it is. And I'm somewhat in that boat. It is such a monster that I don't know if they could. They first, when all of this kind of stuff happened, when they first started questioning it, it was T-Man. Everybody laughed at it because it was him pushing the kind of fight against it. But now it has continued, and they keep questioning it, and they keep saying that this is going on. Most people accept, even if they're on TikTok and create TikTok, which I know plenty of people that have TikToks, they accept that it's watching them and that it's China and they're gathering information. I don't understand why most people don't care about that. I thought about starting one talking about the platform, but I guess that people that do that just get removed like that. Like saying, putting video out on their platform saying, basically this is taking your info and all that kind of stuff. But apparently that gets wiped out real quick. But as far as like TikTok goes, they tried to solve it by saying, oh, well, this is the American office that's running it. Then they found out that the Chinese workers still had access to it and that there was still a backdoor into it to get all of these people's information. One thing that people don't understand is when it's not the app itself, it's the permissions that app has and the things it can do in the background. Dex, could you explain what an app, say if you have Facebook, right? Facebook is one of the public examples of an app that could do things in almost every other app. It could record what you were doing in Microsoft Paint. It could record what you were doing in your texts, in your videos, in anything on your phone was Facebook has permission to use for you to even use Facebook, right?
Yes and no. It depends. There's a lot of that's a very blanket statement that and I guess I'm just too geeky to go that with it. But basically, like for example, one of the things that was going on was in an app when it launches a web browser. If the web browser stays in the app, which a lot of times they do, if you click through, they just load a browser in the app. Then they can control what you're doing or at least see what you're doing. And I think what was being reported was a lot of people were getting keylogged by these apps because you might click a link because you saw a link that you wanted to go to, but you didn't leave and go to a regular browser. It stayed in the in-app browser, and then that app had more control over you. And then, yes, there was a time where a lot of the permissions and capabilities, especially around tracking, were available in these platforms, and they were being used in ways that either violated the terms of service or the terms of services were updated to make them not do it,
Talking
and they
to a
still didn't.
friend.
So then they had
Say
to
you're talking
update
about a pair of
the
headphones.
platforms
Really
so
want
that
this pair of
they
head-
could basically throw these people off and not allow them to actually do that or turn their apps off so they couldn't do that. So yeah, it's been I don't call it a wild west, but it certainly felt a little bit like a wild west in the in that space, and some people were definitely taking advantage of it. And I think of apps like, what was it, Face app, and TikTok is another one that's obviously doing lots of things with their app, whether it be controlling the narrative by promoting or pushing content into the front of the eyeballs that they want, or going so far as to look at everything that you're doing while you're doing it within their app, like surfing the web or stuff like that.
But in the case of so TikTok actually tells you in their terms of service that they do key logging. So they actually log what you are writing into it. So if you write your password somewhere, you are literally have this thing monitoring if you have
inside their app.
No, see, I don't believe that. And Facebook did it outside in other apps as well. Here's a Forbes article, because I covered this back when the people were able to prove that it was tracking outside. And then you can even go to Facebook and it says that you can control this using a little-known tool launched by Facebook last year called Off Facebook Activity. You can actually go in and see what you've been doing off of the platform. It even says right here, it says that they are
and that's
monitoring
from
outside of the app.
Yes, that's from other apps that used Facebook's technology, so therefore they were able to follow you. They weren't just willy-nilly. Like, it wasn't like the Facebook app could go watch what you were doing when you opened the calculator app, which was sort of a dumb app that didn't do much but add numbers, right? But if you went to another app and that app was integrated with Facebook, then they could track you, and that was considered off Facebook. And then there was systems in place on these phones, and Apple was the first one to break that system that allowed cross-app tracking. And Apple came out and did it. The Google got really upset because it hurt the ad industry for that. But then they had to follow suit, and Android did it as well. So they turned off some of those capabilities. But yes.
Do you believe that?
Saying,
just like the NSA deleted our phone records? I mean,
you can only go by what you can see and do, and you can. There's certain things you can't do anymore in the phones. There's certain features that don't work anymore because of the new lockdown that they put. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's only as good as the word of the people that says it. So yeah, take it all with a grain of salt.
Exactly. And some phones, it's so many times in my life I've had to buy the cheap prepaid phone, and I'm sure many of you are watching me on a prepaid phone, one that you buy at Walmart or Fred Meyer or Target or whatever. Those phones, the reason why they are cheap, and I didn't know this back in the day, of course, this is something I believe I learned from you, is that these cheap phones are cheap because they have pre-installed apps that you cannot delete. It's basically advertising for those companies. There's things like Google Chrome is permanently in there. There's apps that when you go to delete, say you're running out of space and you're like, well, I never use that. It will say you cannot delete it. And it is baked into the actual phone hardware. There's a lot of phones like that where you go. Whereas if you buy a phone outright and it's, what do you call it? It's unlocked or whatever. Many of those, you'll get whatever comes basic and you can add whatever you want. But when you get the cheaper phones, you'll notice that you can't delete some of those apps. And I bet you that those apps probably paid that phone maker or whatever to have that in there, or they have some sort of back and forth contract where they get their app on there. Now, you don't have to use that app. You don't have to sign up for it. You don't have to do it, but it's still going to be there. Think about that. If you're looking at your phone 1,000 times a day and their logo is there, think about how valuable that is. I mean, look at how much money Coca-Cola and Pepsi spend to just have their logo everywhere. So you think about it without even thinking about it. Anyways, thank you.
Microsoft would pay a pretty penny, Adam, to have Bing be defaulted on a phone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they would love it because they want that revenue.
Yeah. And God, nobody uses Bing, man. Does anybody here use Bing? Anybody? And again, you can go against the grain and say, I actually like Bing because of this or whatever. But ever since Bing came out, I don't even know how they survive with DuckDuckGo and Google. I now use DuckDuckGo, but sometimes I forget. It's easy to use the Google, right? But I try to use DuckDuckGo every single time I can. See, I just used it. I did, yeah. But I try to use DuckDuckGo because they supposedly don't track you. But DuckDuckGo did alter their results about a year ago. Something happened and it was like, whoa, why are you doing that? And it was around the J6 stuff. So I don't know about any of these companies, right? And then before we move on, we're going to talk about some Air Force leaders disappointed in General's prediction. Yeah, nobody uses it. I use Bing sometimes. I guess if you have a device that it's on it and it's easy, kind of like if you have a phone and it has a Google bar, then you end up typing stuff into it. Dave says you can delete anything as long as you root your phone. See, I don't know all that spy stuff. My S22 Ultra can't delete Facebook. Yeah. Oh, so you're saying it's an expensive phone. But I bet you maybe did you get it on contract, like where it's payments or something? If you bought it unlocked and you can't delete it, that's pretty messed up. Anyways, before we go into the Air Force leaders have a prediction of a 2025 war, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. This is an actual way you can defend from an EMP or a CME, a Carrington level event, hitting your cars, your vehicles, your boats, your trucks, your motorcycles, your boats, your RVs. Importantly, if you are again either an RV or a van lifer, then you can protect those in less than 10 minutes. Put one of these EMP shields in it, and it will ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your engine, your device, and everything else. It, again, can also work for your home. There is a home version you need to have an electrician put in, but that will actually protect everything wired in within 250 linear feet. So if any phase, all three phases of an EMP happen, and it happens multiple times, this will defend against that. This is the same company that's outfitted agencies like DHS, DOD, and now on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. It's 100% American made. It's a veteran-owned company, and they are making all of these by hand. So you know that you're going to get quality every single time. They have a strict and really stringent manufacturing process. They started out as a little tiny business making these by hand out of Kansas. They're still made by hand, but they're much bigger now. The reason why, when T-Man signed the executive order to harden our grid, this was one of the main companies mentioned in the DHS, Department of Homeland Security EMP Resilience Report, and it was one of the main companies that was called up to help. So this is Keystone military tested technology. You can get it for yourself. Again, at one point we didn't know if they were still going to sell to civilians after all of these huge contracts that they got, but luckily they are. So if you do want to get a device that can protect you, you can put it in less than 10 minutes into your car and you'll be good. Marfooglenews.com/EMP. Again, they make one for everything, generators, all sorts of devices. Go check out everything they can protect on marfooglenews.com/EMP. All right, and then Dex. And you get $50 off. Can't forget that. $50 off with our link, which stacks on top of any of their sales. All right, and then the war in 2025 prediction. This is like the 6th or 7th in the last year we've heard a prediction of 2025, which happens to be the same as like what, Deagle? That's kind of creepy. What a coincidence.
It certainly is. That number, I think when I think about these dates, obviously nobody's going to know the date, but when people predict dates, especially coming from Xi, which is 2027, I believe, is what he said, to have the troops ready to take Taiwan by then. There's no way that they're going to publicly make that date and say, this is the date we're going for, and that actually be it. It's going to be a lot sooner. It wouldn't make sense to put a date out and then meet it, or even worse, miss it, right? So you can automatically assume that Xi's date is just Ganda on one hand, and it's probably a lot sooner than that. It could, like you think, it could be this year. Or like this general thinks it could be 2025. Apparently, a lot of other people, though, are not on board, at least with his thinking around this, and he was getting a little flack. I don't know that that's as important as it is important to understand that these leaders, who obviously have a lot more intel than we do, they, not only are doing training, but they also probably interact and deal with a lot of other operations that go on that we have just absolutely no clue about, that give them this type of insight and allow them to make these speculatory statements and not totally make them out of left field. I wouldn't think that he's just saying, I'm just going to lick my finger and stick it there and say, oh, it feels like 2025. That's not what he's doing. I mean, his opinion here is one that's, based on, some sort of information that, he has connected a lot of dots around and put together. So without revealing that information, which he can't do, and meet his obligations to the military. I think that it just goes back to the point that this is coming. It's sometime between now and 2027, and it doesn't matter because that's not far out. That's pretty soon. So, this is coming. It's going to happen soon. It might even be this year. And it very well could be this year. It could be next year, or it could be any year between now and 2027, which is not that far off. So I think that's the thing that, we have to pay attention to. Is this isn't just, a bunch of, talk and chest beating. There's a real action that is underlying here that is going to take place. It will happen at some point.
And this is Mike Minahan. This is what I've been talking about. When the Air Mobility Command, they ended up taking all of the numbers off of their planes. All of the Air Mobility Command gets military gear all over the world. They fly cargo everywhere, right? And it says months later in a memo dated February 1st, Minahan took a step further. He told his command that war with China was right around the corner, and he called on airmen with weapons qualifications to, quote, fire a clip into a 7-meter target with the full understanding that unrepentant lethality matters most. Aim for the head. Dude, this guy's nuts. But is he right? It says he also advised airmen to update their virtual record of emergency data. That sounds like he knows something. Update their virtual record of emergency data. Now, can some of the military in our chat, can you point out, as being military, why would that be important? Can you guys point out from a military perspective, why would he say update their virtual record of emergency data? Essentially, their dependents' contact information and wills. Why would that be important? And it says, I hope I am wrong, Minahan wrote, but my gut tells me we will fight in 2025. That is not far away. We're in 2023, and it could be sooner than that. But they do look at where contracts are. You know, they look at the information that they have as far as what are they building, how fast are they building. China has surprised us so many times with how fast they can manufacture. And I guess, why are people surprised? They're the manufacturing country of the world. They can manufacture anything. And people think, oh, they just manufacture crappy knockoffs, right? They did that on purpose. That is for the most money possible. When they want to build something good, they do. And we know that because the U.S. military has been shipping stuff over there to be made. Every country in the world has been making stuff in China. And the more advanced that it got, well, China was being nice, the more advanced technology they gave. Some of these companies flew specific robots and different technology and different hardware and software over to China to manufacture their extremely high-tech, extremely high-quality products. And that was because they could do it over there for cheaper. Even if they paid their top specialists, which the Chinese people are not stupid. I may not respect their government too much, but the Chinese people are some of the smartest people you will ever know. In fact, the statistics show, even in America, the culture itself is very focused on education. They are much more likely than, say, a white guy like me to go on to advanced college and everything else. So these are not stupid people. And I don't think you don't see as many people underestimating China as you do Russia, but people do underestimate them, and you never underestimate your enemy. So this prediction and this advice, it is pretty scary, but at the same time, we're preppers and we're 2 years ahead, right? We're 3 years ahead. We're 5 years ahead. We told you guys this years ago. So most of you, even if you just stacked an extra can of food a week and maybe a gallon of water every time you went to the store, $2 on top of whatever you're already doing, you should have a ton of stuff stocked up by now. And if you don't stress. Even if it's tomorrow, guess what? We are all going to perish. We all think that we are going to live until the very last second that we were breathing. Every human being, for some reason, believes that somehow until the very last moment that we will somehow be the one who cheats death. None of us will. We will all have our time, and we will all perish. So stop being afraid. If you're fear, stop. You are going to perish. Get right with God, and let Him worry about the rest. Otherwise, for the events that you can prepare for, like earthquakes and emergencies and things like this is something that you should do. And you should tell friends and family the same way. Say, hey, if you have car insurance, why? Because you know you're going to get in a car accident, or because you may? Do you have life insurance? Oh, well, you don't know you're going to die, but you may, and you will, but you may die in a weird way. Do you have insurance on your TV? Why? Oh, in case it breaks? Well, then why don't you have food insurance? Why do people have 3 days of food in the fridge? That's stupid. You should have hunger insurance. So it's coming. It's getting closer. And just as CV came and we told people a year before, 6 months before, 3 months before, we said, hey, it looks like they're preparing for a massive demic. whether it was orchestrated or not, it happened. And we were all locked down and the stores were empty. Don't get caught with your pants down again. And then Russian energy firm, and because there's you can argue about what the agenda behind this is, but these agendas are all, they can be quickened up 10,000 times faster if there is a major conflict with world economies. They can change rules and they can fix everything. And I'm say fix, but they're fixing like as if you fix a dog, right? It's not going to be fun for us. And then Russian energy firm helping China's nuclear weapons program to direct threat to U.S. It says House Republicans are calling on the B administration's national security officials to utilize the full application of sanctions, export controls, and diplomacy to block a Russian state-owned energy company from helping China to expand its nuclear weapons program, and warns that this relationship is a direct threat to the U.S. national security. Essentially, this company is going to be helping China catch up with this entire, their entire nuclear goals. Dex, we know that they were supposed to have like 300 silos by a certain date. That moved up. They said that in a few years, they'll have 1,500. And I believe that's even been, they're even going to have more. They're trying to catch up with the U.S. in every category, and they've already surpassed us in some, like Air Force, or I'm sorry, not Air Force. They're trying to get bigger than us in Air Force, and they have the largest Navy in the world now. They are trying to go for this, and now that they're No Limits partners, it looks like they're helping out each other.
Well, we just reported that the Iran was potentially getting this also from Vlad. So here is yet another example, and this is coming from the House Armed Services, the chairmans, I should say, of the House Armed Service Committee, House Intelligence Committee, House Foreign Affairs Committee. They're bringing this from Congress to the administration, saying, "Hey, this is what we found. This is what we're seeing, and let's take action on it." Now, set the politics aside. Just the House is run by one group at the moment, so that's why it is semi-political here, but it's not. Just look at the what's happening and the notion of this company called Rosatom or Rosatom. Rosatom is the state-owned nuclear energy corporation, and what they can do is produce weapons-grade plutonium. So if they're giving this, whether it be or selling this because they need to make money. Obviously, sanctions are hurting them. So anything they can sell, whether it's oil or in this case, weapons grade plutonium, will make them a lot of money. So selling this to the PRC, selling this potentially to, or as we talked about, not plutonium, but uranium, going back to the I country, who is desperately trying to build a nuclear capability. Just rewind and look at NK. You think that Hermit Nation built all this by themselves? Like they sat around and developed it all from scratch? No, that was given to them. A lot of it was given to them. So this is not out of the norm of possibility. This has happened in the past, and we're sort of got our head in the sand if we don't think it's actually happening right now, and it is. That's at least what the Congress is saying, that from those committees with the access and information that they have, they're presenting it up to actually do something about it. So look, if Vlad is over there selling this and helping Xi, that explains a lot why Xi and Vlad are tightly in bed together, so to speak. Like they've got lots of things in their No Limits partnership that are helping and scratching each other's backs. This happens to be a very big one.
By the way, that was not me that time. I'm not kidding. That was not me at all. I was nowhere near it. One thing that happens is the Stream Deck gets stuff stuck in the buttons, and it just did it. So I'm so sorry, Dex. I know. So when Dex is talking and that happens, he has a second earphone. So then it goes boom, and it blasts you. So sorry. But again, that was not me that time. But I've probably done it accidentally probably 10 times in my life, and 9 of them have been recently. So I will have to clean that. Sorry about that. If you guys know what the Stream Deck is, I'll just show you real quick since people don't. There's a little thing here, and it commands all of the different things. If I push this, it will go to thumbnail. If I push this, it will go to this camera, this to full screen. but it got stuck. So I apologize. And you guys know I admit it when I do it, because I've done it a lot. But I do apologize, Dex. That was not on purpose.
It's quite all right. It was the ghost of the crumbs or dust.
Rizar says, I love random. Yeah, this show is most definitely that. You never know what you're going to get. It is a live show. Before Dex came along, there was I had an old setup where I had fake wood board. And for some of you that watch this episode, I don't even know where it is. But I had the board, and I was too lazy to like bolt it in. So there was like this built-in mounting, like a 6-inch mounting in the room I was in. And I put this like 8-foot Home Depot wood paneling board up, and I didn't bolt it down. And then I had a huge pole. This pole actually had lights on it. And basically that board, a draft came or something. It was like the window was cracked and it just a draft. The whole thing fell down on me during a live show. So what you guys saw was just the entire stage fell down on my head. And then the camera, everything, the light was down. And then it just like went black. And then I popped back up. That happened only once. But I've had the camera fall over. I've had all sorts of stuff happen. So that's why you need to tune in. Because everyone loves watching somebody else get hurt. I mean, come on. The light pole hit me in the head, and I was like dizzy for the rest of the show. It was pretty funny.
We don't have the beautiful option of editing all this out.
Yeah, it's live, so you can't change it. For you replay watchers, you're missing out. But I do appreciate you guys watching it. And then Putin officially wanted over war crimes for abducting children from UKR. When I first saw this headline, I was like, whoa. But it says an international arrest warrant has been issued for the arrest of Vladimir Putin over his actions in UKR. Again, he hasn't been there, but he has ordered the actions that they say has included allegations of torture, unlawful executions, and abuse. So all of these things are now culminating in this document. The court said in a statement that Putin is allegedly responsible for the war crime of unlawful deportation of the population, children, and the unlawful transfer of population children from occupied areas of UKR to the Russian Federation. Now, when it first came out, people did speculate that they were doing it because they were about to take out an area, so they were evacuating. I'll let you guys argue about which, what this really is. But they are painting him as the new, HITLER, MOUSE, or I don't know. They're basically putting that in there, and definitely seems like we're painting it towards WW3 scenario in a direct confrontation. But this is a third. This is what institution is this? This is the
it's the ICC.
International Criminal Court.
Right, and it's not even recognized by the U.S. Well, I shouldn't say that. The U.S. actually recognized it when it was getting started, but then backed out and didn't sign into it. I think the same thing happened with Vlad. Either they didn't I think they withdrew their signature. I think Xi doesn't recognize it at all. But there's quite a few people that do. There's plenty of countries that do, but of the big powers like U.S., China, and Russia, they don't recognize it, or they backed out of it as it got started. But it does have a process, but at the same time, it's not recognized in those countries.
And somebody said Hister. No, I said HILTER. So, yes, Hiller Mouse. And then somebody says Carl Stenbrook says 2 carriers heading towards Turkey, the Ronald Reagan and Theodore Roosevelt, meeting lots of other ships out there like the G.H.W. Bush and the HMS Queen Elizabeth, which is the Royal Navy. Dex, can we confirm that? If we say it, I just want to make sure it's true. I assume you're right, Carl.
I can try.
Let's see. Well, and you don't need to do the ship tracking website. Just see if there's any stories on it. but I believe it. There's been a lot of Navy movement, and then the Russian Navy has been all over the place. They sent 20 ships to the Black Sea, or at least that's what's being said. From Canada, Lisa at Happy Little Mountain Studio, the lightning strike that made you take off. Oh, I remember that. Lisa, I don't really see you in chat, so you're old school. Oh, I just remembered that.
That was funny.
Were you there, Dex?
Oh yeah, I was there.
Oh my gosh, I just thought about that. But it struck my house, okay? It wasn't just a normal lightning strike. It struck my actual house. And it was so loud, I thought that we just got nuked. Oh my gosh. I think that's what I thought and you guys remember, you can see it. And you can go in that video. I got to find that show. There was only a little tiny crack in the blinds, and the whole room lit up. It was wild. I thought we got hit by a nuke. That was funny. I totally forgot about that. Can we please do a blooper show sometime soon? That's usually something that that viewers put together, because it's so hard. We do a live show 5 nights a week, and there's I used to do them when I just did outtakes when I did recorded videos. I want to get back to doing like more cell phone videos and more edited videos. Dex did a really good edited video that was put out on news, the top 5 ways that basically everything could drop, the financial collapse. That was really great video. There's actually another one I hope that we can put out, which is the kind of solution to that, but we'll get to that later. And then Putin honors pilots who downed U.S. drones as heroes. Yeah, so I think that means he approves. But before we go to that, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already, if you are one of the many people that have 3 days of food in your house, you shouldn't be. Go over and check out My Patriot Supply at marfooglenews.com/prep. They have, of course, a ton of different packages that you can get, but the 3-month supply right now actually comes with a $300 plus value Alexa Pure Pro. That's a water filtration system. It's a gravity-fed water filtration system that gets rid of basically 99.9% of all of the nasty stuff, and it's coming for free on top of 3 months of freeze-dried food that will last 25 years. This is a really good space-saving way to have basically 3 months just set aside. That's a month and a half for 2 people, or a month for 3 people. Again, you can break it down however you want. If you are somebody who wants to go by the recommendation of 6 months per person of food, then obviously it helps to have a huge discount, or again, freebies that come with that. They also have 3-day packs. They have, go bag packs of 3 days, 72-hour kits. They have all sorts of other kits. So make sure to go check it out. Not only are you going to get a discount, a huge one, but you're also going to be helping our independent channel. We are on our own here, so thank you guys for your help, and appreciate everybody that goes through us. If it's already something that you've been looking at, if you go through us, you'll get a discount, and you're going to help us out as well. They give us a commission when you go purchase something, and they give you a discount. So it's a win-win for everybody. And you have, again, freeze-dried sealed food in Mylar bags that will be good, and you can store them wherever you need them. All right, and then Putin honors pilots who downed U.S. drones as heroes. So he basically says, I approve of this message. It said the pilots of the 2 Russian combat jets involved in bringing down an American MQ-9 drone over the Black Sea on Tuesday have been honored by their country. If I was the soldier or the Air Force pilot that did that, even if this was like reverse and this was a US, that'd be kind of a lame thing to be known for. Like, oh, I dumped some gas and accidentally hit a ship or hit a drone. It wouldn't be too honorable, right? It says the United States said that 2 Russian Su-27s dumped fuel over the drone in a reckless and unprofessional manner before one of the planes made physical contact with it, after which the drone became unflyable and uncontrollable, so we brought it down. One thing I want to point out is I guess I would like to know, it would be cool if they put out their side of the video. Was it done on purpose? Like, did he do some like Top Gun stuff where he literally he purposely somehow hit a single blade on it or something? Or was it an accident? Think about getting honored for something that was possibly almost killing yourself, right? And it says, in a statement announcing awards, the Russian Ministry of Defense said that the pilots had prevented the violation of a military exclusion zone established by Moscow, though they also insisted that they, quote, did not come into contact with the U.S. drones or deploy their weapons. So, yeah, I think they approve of what happened. And this is something is going on in Poland. As Fugel family members said, and we talked about last week, there's most definitely stuff going on in Warsaw. Dex, do you want to go over this and then?
Yeah, well, let me jump back real quick for just a split second. A lot of people have been talking about that video today. And if you guys want to go back and watch it in last night's show, you can, or go back to our website. You can see it if you're looking for it. But the one thing people were pointing out was that the props had like these stripes on them in the first video. But then the second video where it cuts and shows after the impact, they were missing the yellow stripes on them. Now, I'm not saying that they're missing. That's what a lot of people are saying. So you guys go take a look. It's probably worth looking at yourself. And I can, if you want to pull it up, Adam, I'll give you the link.
I got it. It just, or no, it was, we could lose everything, right?
Yeah, it was in that article, but just, I put it in, screener if you want it. Yeah. But you know, on one hand, it's hard to see because there's a shadow. It's a different position. It's obviously moved, but you know, we talked about the curled prop. There's another prop in there. If you pay attention, it's actually twisted where instead of looking at it flat towards your perspective, it's actually, you know, 90 degrees turned. And so, you know, that just calling that out, some of the things that we didn't notice last night when we showed it to you, and a lot of people have been talking about and speculating today. So I wanted to recognize everybody in the fam that's been talking about it.
Now, are all four blades supposed to have the two stripes? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, they're saying the blades have the stripes, and then the first plane comes in. I think the way you're supposed to interpret this, is my understanding, is you're seeing the harassment. So the first one is a harassment, not an impact. The second one is a harassment, but he actually impacts it, and it goes, you know, to blue screen or to color screen, and then they come back and show you the actual damage, which is the props of that drone, you know, one of them being curled over, the other being twisted, you know, in a different direction, but you also don't see the stripes on them anymore. At least that's what people are saying. But there's also a totally different shadow, so it could be hidden.
See, right here, I don't know how it's, you know, carrying over to people's phones, but right here on this, I can kind of see a yellowish tint there. But I see what they mean. Right here, it's in the shadows, but you do not see that yellow. But was this supposed to be all the way down here? Is this supposed to be much longer, kind of where the black border is? And would that be where the stripes are, right? But like you, that was so weird. This is, you know, because they were calling this an event. Some experts said that this could cause World War III. Obviously, this would be the stupidest Fantastic Freddy to start a conflict ever. Right, ever. If this was an event that started war, this would just be dumb. It's unmanned drone. It is $32 million. It is a big deal. But this to start WW3, if we look back in the history books and this started it, that would just be stupid. But it's crazy. The show right before this came out the morning after this show, and this was the show. I just thought that was so weird. This was my thumbnail the night before. It says in the near future. And then this was the video that everybody was talking about. It's just, you know, I didn't do it on purpose, obviously. But, you know, kind of like Jacob Israel said something. Sometimes there's been a lot of weird things that we have, like Jacob's thumbnails. Sometimes it's just weird, the weird coincidences that happen. But of course, not everybody believes in coincidences at all. So maybe nothing's a coincidence. But the Poland, breaks up a Russian spy ring suspected of planning an attack on a military supply route into UKR. So we also covered Marfoogle family military say that, Poland and Japan are the two places that you should watch right now because they are both having heavy activity. Something is going on. Obviously, Japan for China and Poland for Russia. Polish authorities on Thursday said that they had broken up an alleged spy ring that was planning to attack railroad routes used to supply UKR with goods and weapons. 9 people were arrested by Poland's internal security agency on suspicion of spying for Moscow. Warsaw's Interior Minister Mariusz Kaminski announced during a news conference. 3 people were first detained on Wednesday. It said that Kaminski said that the group was planning sabotage actions aimed at paralyzing the supply of equipment, weapons, and aid to UKR, cameras, electronic equipment, and GPS transmitters, which were reportedly meant to be placed on shipments set for UKR, which were also seized by Polish security officials. The threat was real, Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak said, while also detailing that the group entered Poland. The officials did not clarify if the individuals were Russian nationals, but said that they were believed to have entered Poland through Belarus, a chief ally nation to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The planned sabotage mimics tactics already carried out by Belarusian rebels who oppose the conflict in UKR and have attacked Russian equipment, planes, and rail systems in Belarus used to transport arms to Russian troops. So this is probably something a little bit bigger than what they are saying, but what we get publicly, we don't know exactly what is Ganda in this and what's not. But it sounds, and remember, Poland had a huge part to play in World War II. So it's kind of it's not a hard guess to think that they're going to be a big part of this one as well, considering where they are on Russia's borders. Dex, as far as this goes, what do you think the spin is going to be tomorrow? I bet you they're going to come up with 2 different stories, and they're going to completely conflict.
Yeah, I'm sure. We've seen conflicting stories come out of Poland, especially with that errant missile that went over there. So, I don't know what'll come out, but this is something we've talked about. Not necessarily that there would be a covert group doing sabotage, but this supply line, especially as the new equipment or the newer stuff, whether it be tanks or jets or other things, like the jets won't go by the ground, they'll probably fly them in. But as the equipment gets brought in, it's going to be a target. And that line of equipment running through, whether it's on rail or whether it's on the roads, was going to be highly targeted by Vlad. And this is, one of those examples where they were trying to, at least get a handle on where it was and when it was moving so they could target it. Obviously, it was foiled, but this is exactly the type of thing we were expecting to see.
And most likely it's going to happen again, and there's going to be more surrounding this in the coming days. I bet you are going to be touching back on this. The pattern shows that there's probably going to be at least 3 different angles that they're going to look at this event. Either way, they have along the borders in Romania, they're digging trenches, and in Poland, they've got anti-tank measures put up. There's obviously a lot going on in that country, so we'll be watching it closely.
And missile defense systems. That's right, from Germany. They have the Patriot system in there too. By the way, when does the Patriot systems kick in UKR? I think that date's going to be important because Russia is probably going to do an all-out, crazy, insane type, move. Should be soon. Didn't they say March or April, I thought?
Yeah.
That was the amount of time needed, so it should be soon.
So for them moving 20 ships into the Black Sea, something could be happening pretty soon here. I bet you they would want to launch things before they can get shot down. And then Beer Juice, thank you, says, how's this? Thank you for the Ninjagini. Scooby-Doo Do-Right says, not quite good enough, Beer Juice. And then I got your Scooby snack right here, says Beer Juice. You guys are going back and forth. That's awesome. West of the West, Sky House, Scooby-Doo Do-Right, thank you. Lisa Lisa at the Happy Little Mountain lightning strike that made you take off. Thank you for the super chat. Ariel's perspective. Happy birthday to my love, Mike. T. Fisher, thank you. Lisa at Happy Little Mountain again says 2018 cemetery surveys. Perished men put their decision in the 2020 event. I can't. If you say that, that's the easy way to get somebody off. But yeah, yes, lots of dead men put their decision in the box in 2020. We know that for a fact. And then Jerry Shirts, silver up 6% today. Just saying. Hey, hi, Marf and Dex, great show. Jerry, you know me. I think I've always thought gold and silver were cool. Now it's gonna be even cooler when everything else collapses. 6%. That's a pretty big jump, though. If it was gold going up 6%, that would be nuts. People learn to microgreen. You can live on them alone, and they grow 7 to 10 days. You can grow them in window. Microgreen. Isn't that what you put into the drinks at fancy, what are those called? Shakes or whatever? Dex, isn't microgreen, isn't that the little grass? That's what that is.
Well, right? I think that's a type of it. But just the whole notion of hydroponics or growing
smaller versions of vegetables and greens that you can grow in your window or in your home with lighting is a good thing. I mean, it's fairly, I don't know if it's easy. I don't have a green thumb, but it's fairly doable. Let's call it that. Probably easy for some.
We have a greenhouse we built that we got off of Amazon. I think it was Amazon. Yeah, it was Amazon, but it was the basic structure. My wife got into when CV happened. She got really into plants and everything else, and actually Foogle fam members really helped her with that. There was a bunch of green thumbs that helped her a lot with her starting when she was just learning, and helped her with crocheting and gardening. The Foogle fam really helped my wife with. She got good at both. Now we have a little greenhouse, and it would be cool to have another one, but it was really cheap too. It was like, when it came, but we had to build it ourselves. It was kind of like IKEA, but a greenhouse, and it was huge. So imagine building an IKEA thing, only instead of Swedish instructions, it was Chinese, and it was all the worst pictures you could ever imagine. But we have our own garden now, which is pretty cool. And B&B, thank you so much. Carol, thank you. I appreciate that. Stephen McMahon, Matthew Michael says, you don't look like Tim the Tool Man, Taylor's neighbor anymore. It's good to see your face again. Yeah, I read that about 20 minutes ago, and that cracked me up. That show is, they don't even play it anymore because I think Tim the Tool Man is now canceled, right? Dex, wasn't he canceled? What's his name? Tim the Tool Man, because he's on the right side, so now he's like he's a Republican, so now he doesn't get jobs. What the heck is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Let's see.
Hey, Adam, can you hear me?
Yeah, you were on the... What is it?
I was saying his name's Tim Allen, and he has also been removed as the voice of Buzz Lightyear. So in all the newer anything that's related to Toy Story, it will not be him.
Are you effing kidding? Are you kidding? That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So he was the best Buzz Lightyear in the world. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Let's see here. Whoops. Let's see here. Darth V, thank you. Solar Monk, appreciate that. RGL Harris, David Murphy, Tim Allen, LOL. Roseanne Barr is a hoot. Blur. Did you see Blur? Did you see her on Tucker Carlson? It was pretty funny. Android Architect. Unknown in California skies. Holly weird. Tim Allen is still... Bob John says, Tim Allen got busted with kilos of coke in the 1980s. I was born in the late 80s, but most of the people I know that were... I think most people got busted with a kilo in the 80s. Old writer Tim Allen, many shall be purified. Truth Seeker, what's going on? Matthew Shaw. Let's see here. Love Tucker, but Marf is still my favorite. Tucker's a different thing. You know, he says he doesn't use, he doesn't watch TV or internet. He never watches anything. But I swear to you, he has copied YouTubers. Not myself, but I have seen where I'll see a YouTuber say a theory and then it ends up on Tucker Carlson. And he says that when he gets a theory like that, that he's getting texts from all over the world. So either that big YouTuber basically told him that, or texted him and is on a personal level with him, or he's watching YouTube videos for some of their content. I've seen him with a very specific theory that matched even a smaller YouTuber, and I was like, whoa. So they go down, now Fox News goes down the same rabbit holes we do, and here's why I think it is. I think it's because the media realizes that people are here instead of there, and they're losing millions and millions of dollars in ad dollars. Now, Tucker Carlson, I don't have anything against him, but I do believe that they have said, well, what do people want? And they said, well, people want stuff more like this. So they've gone down that avenue. Other than that, though, Tucker Carlson is the closest thing to, you know, I believe, actual, you know, talking about some of the issues that actually matter. But at the same time, both sides have their, both sides are corrupt as heck. I don't know about Tucker himself, but I think it's kind of disingenuous. After seeing at least 3 different times when it was something directly from a small YouTube channel, I was thinking, so he's saying he doesn't watch TV, doesn't watch anything, but yet he has all of this information. And one time he said he directly gets texts. He says that's literally the only way he does it, is he gets texts from people around the world in his own words, and that's how he gets his information. I don't know. I think he watches YouTube too, but just a thought. But he is right a lot of the time. Let's see here. Correction, silver up 4%. Sorry, I'm tired. Jerry Shirts. That's okay. And then Dex, go ahead.
Hey, this is semi-breaking. It's breaking in the sense that everybody's talking about it in chat. So I'll just tell you what I found. It's not confirmed, so don't take this as news source. But for those of you that are wondering about all the lights over California, it's being reported, at least on Twitter, by viewers that have seen it, that they've saw like 6 big fireballs. But one of the reports says it was a huge meteor that blew up into dozens of fireballs east of Sacramento. Again, none of this is confirmed. It's just being reported by citizens on Twitter, and that's what people in chat are talking about. So that's what we know. That's about as much as we know at the moment. Probably hear more.
Wait a second.
As it evolves. It's in California near Sacramento. Is where one person reported they saw the fireball break up into smaller fireballs, and then other people reporting in California seeing 6 fireballs, 10 fireballs, meteors streaking through the sky.
Oh, that's not. Yeah, you always wonder, is it fireballs or is it something else? This is last year. Yeah, that's creepy. Wonder what's going on with that. Well, we'll follow it, and then if you are not following me on Twitter, I will, after the show, end up heading over, and if I find the fireball videos and anything that's being shared, just type in @Marfoogle, and you'll find @Marfoogle News Official. Make sure to do the blue checkmark one, and of course, follow me over on Twitter, and I'll share all those videos. And then we can try to update the website if more stuff comes out on that. Speaking of which, though, we're going to go over the web only here in just a second. But I did want to thank Zen1AZ. I appreciate that. And Jolene Rice, Dangerous, You Are Here. Lord McCormick, The Real Dank Williams, thank you. Joseph Newhouse, thank you. Jaleesa H., Machina Opus, Christian Moore, thank you. Dex, let's go over web only. There's a lot of it.
There certainly is. So for those of you that are new, here's the spiel. Go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for today's show, or even easier, open up the show notes link. It's in the description on YouTube and Rumble. It'll take you to this webpage where all of the news we just covered is there. It's all sourced for you, so you know everything we talked about. And there's a yellow bar that says overflow. Below that is the rest of the story. Everything else we collected. Some of it's additional content that goes along with the stories. Some of it is topics that we just don't normally cover because it causes consternation and fighting at the water cooler, so to speak, and a lot of other things that just didn't make it in the show. So there's a lot there, a lot going on tonight. So basically the updates in the financial sector. So we've got, SVB filing for bankruptcy. You knew that was coming because there's not much left of them, but they do have to go through that motion. Credit Suisse is still having problems, so they're not done. That's going to continue to hamper things. First Republic, there's not much of an update, but a little bit going on there. There's an interesting story about humanoid robots are coming. I know we've talked enough about it, so we all know they're coming because we've talked about it. But there's an interesting article there if you want to go read about it. It's there as well. Another perspective, and that's one of the great things here is we've got a lot of opinion pieces when we find them. If they think they're valuable, we put them in about Silicon Valley. That the boom era has ended, or at least that's what it's feeling like, and that's probably true given everything that seems to be happening at the tech sector and the banking, specifically around the tech sector. Hey, why is Xi Jinping letting his hair go gray? Did you know that none of the leaders in the past have ever done that? They've always dyed their hair black, and it goes way back in time. I think in the article it even says that the Confucian philosopher said white-haired people should be cared for rather than engage in heavy work. So this seems to be a break from the norm. There, he is allowing his hair to go gray when normally they would continue dyeing it black. There's a little bit of political stuff here, not that much, but just a little bit. MGT is there's some polls that are out about her call to sort of divide up things. So that's kind of an interesting position. There's some Hunter stuff in here, but then there's also this story came out, and I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if it's just Ganda coming from Xi's side, but they're saying that lab story that our officials are saying is not right. It's actually an animal, and it's called a raccoon dog, and they're saying that that's where this thing that we just lived through originated from in the markets again. So we've gone from pangolas to dogs, and I don't know. It's there if you want to see it, go read it. Updates on the Florida beaches. I know we talked about that massive 5,000-mile long seaweed, blob that's literally heading to the state, and they're still dealing with the red tide. So they're about to get a 1-2 punch, so to speak. Do have some additional updates with UKR and what's happening. There's potentially, now this is coming from UKR, a military aid package coming out from the U.S., but that didn't come from us. We didn't say it yet, so but it's interesting that they're saying it. But they're saying we're going to announce one soon, which isn't going to be a surprise because it seems like every couple of weeks we announce another aid package. Some people have speculated where that drone went down based on the video we were just showing you. They looked at the backgrounds and they tried to analyze it with Google Maps and other things like that to determine. They had a pretty good guess. If you want to see what it is, go read that article. MiGs are about to be transferred from Slovakia in addition to Poland, so that may be coming in soon to play into UKR. And some other interesting things. Oh, we launched another drone in that area, so maybe we'll see if it gets harassed and we have a repeat. So that and a lot more. I didn't even cover it all. Many more things on the site. Just go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show. You will see all the news we covered, and you'll see the rest of the story, that orange bar, the overflow. On YouTube and Rumble, it's in the description. It's called Show Notes. It's so easy to get to. First link right there.
Well, thank you, Dex, and thank you for your help today. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
Thank the mods. Of course, make sure to go over and check them out. Again, Lisa R. Hall, wonderful, wonderful woman. Make sure to check out RJL Harris, Ilea, Rip Curl Readiness, Trinity Red Pill or Blue Pill, Hi-Ho Kermit the Frog here. Ilea, I love her profile pic there with the tinfoil hat on. Thumbs up. Wages World does an awesome channel as well that covers all of the solar activity. Wages, too, by the way, he is somebody who literally cares about people around him. He is genuinely a really great guy on and off camera. He, again, does everything he can to help everybody else. He's just a really good guy. So make sure to help him get to 60,000. He is definitely deserving of it. He genuinely cares about everybody around him. He's just a really good person in and out. So make sure to go help him out. And then Gem, CJ Blaze, Bones, Chance Paladin has great books on Amazon. So make sure to go check out his Linktree and his Amazon links. CJ Blaze, she hasn't been around so much lately, but she is just an amazing woman. Her and her family are just awesome. So make sure to go check her out. Gem, and of course, Jammer1. Make sure to pray for him as well. He's had some health issues lately. Him and his wife, Miss Jammer, just two great, really, really, really great people. All of these people are awesome. So make sure to go support them. Trinity as well. I'm praying for her. She's been through a whole lot in her life, and I won't say too much about it, but you could definitely throw prayers her way just to make sure that she stays healthy and happy. All right, and then love you guys. Make sure to check out the friends down below, and thank you, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Matthew, Michael, T. Fisher, and everybody else, you guys have a wonderful night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. Say thank you to the people that matter most, you. Thank you for all the top supporters. Thank you for everybody in chat. I appreciate all of you guys. Let's see here. I'm Miss Jammer, I'm the Irish one. I go with the friends in the Irish one. I truth, Iris, and a James Wright. I could choose seek around with so tight. Come on, put tracker, going on back, never alone. Back on the back, on to attack you. Lean on down and I sack her. Ballin' the goals. Everybody should know. Susan on the big and big jammer. Boom, boom, dim, dum, boom. Marfoogle news, only news I choose. Marfoogle news, only news I choose. Marfoogle news, only news I choose.
I got the Zim one hazy. I Zim one, everybody crazy. Baby, holy, free, holy, scary fay. Everybody, I hope you have a good day. Jesus is Lord, don't you forget. Tony BP with the disdain high. Everybody gonna check that engine light. It's on Arizona infidel. I fell down a well, no, last see the hill. Gonna go get me some of that California cal.
There's plenty of it down on the beach. I see, I say, it's gonna be a long, long night.
Everybody gonna fly around. My phone has a mind of its own and now. Vocal logo, take care. Stay well and I miss jam aware. Christy Wood, save yourself. Everyone knows it so well. Deep, 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 deep.
All right, let's make a fresh one. Let's see here. I believe we need to make one for